did we make any mistake here? Yes, we did. Here is the mistake. We made one correct move before. Black played f5. The correct move here is to try to stop black from connecting pawns, like g5 and f4. Remember, black's defense here, if we went a4, and black goes g5, black's defense is to create pass pawn after f4, exchange, and then white will have only h pawn. Let's look closer what I mean by that. After g5, suppose white goes b5. This is a draw now, because pawn takes b5, pawn takes b5, king c5, b6, king takes b6, king d4. Now you can say, how can this be a draw when white penetrates and can exterminate all black's pawns? Well, the reason why this is a draw, because black plays king c6, king e5, and now f4. White must exchange those pawns, and now we know that white can never win pawn ending with rook pawn unless pawn just queens and black can't stop it. King g5, king e7, king h6, king f7 with a simple theoretical draw. Now let's see where we made a mistake. We made correct move b4, and black played f5. So we can try h4 to stop black from playing g5. Now if black plays h6 trying to make g5, then we will play h5 and black is totally lost, because now we will go ahead and make our pass pawn, penetrate to king side, and win easily. So black should try with playing g6, a4, and try to win this position. And in this position, after h6, black still manages a draw. So h4 is a better try for white than a4, but still, after correct move g6, white has difficulties to win. Let's look at it. Now, it's very dangerous for white to play king e3, because then black will play king c4. However, if white plays a4, then after h6, b5, a takes b, a takes b, and g5, we get to position with a simple draw. Because even if white plays h5, king c5, b6, king takes b6, king d4, king c6, this is a simple draw. Because after king e5, f4, gf, gf, king takes f4, king d6. This is a simple draw. Now, here, this was the one of the type of position where we do have outside pass pawn. We can create outside pass pawn, but it's not sufficient to win this position. It's not enough. Now let's make little changes in position. White's pawns are g3, h3. Let's put them on g2 and h2. Now this position is easily won for white, because we go b4, then we go a4, then we create pass pawn and penetrate on king side. That's where this rule will be applied fully. You know, once you get this position, you have to try for outside pass pawn, whether you can win or not. You know this is your best try. Now, why pawns on h2 and g2 are better placed? Because after b4, f5, let's try to play for black the same way we played in previous example. Now we can go a4, and if they go g5, we can simply play b5, pawn takes b5, pawn takes b5, king c5, b6, king takes b6, king d4, and black can practically resign here because they lose all those pawns and they cannot create passed pawn like it was with pawn on g3. Now after f4, we can go king e4, king c5, king f5. Be careful only after h6. We go h3, king d4, king g6, king e3, king h6, king f2, king takes g5. Well, however, even in here, we ended up with a draw, but we can make little adjustment here. So position that may look very simple, it's not that simple. So let's go again. We played b4, and black plays f5. We played a4, and black played g5. You see, you know the rules. You know the basics of endgames. You must use outside pass pawn and all this. But also, you have to use little calculation. And here, it goes strictly calculation and nothing else. You calculate after b5, pawn takes, without moving pieces, king c5, b6, king takes b6, king d4, f4. You can calculate. This is not difficult to calculate. You can play it on at home, just moving pieces, or check it on your computer. Actually, you don't really need computer. It will be much more useful if you try to move the pieces or calculate it all in your head. Maybe h3 wins. Now, because after h5, we can go b5, ab, king c5, b6, king takes b6, king d4. Now, what you do is you apply your rule. You calculate. Now, we cannot just stop on this position and analyze it endlessly. No, because chances of you winning lottery with several $1 million are much, much higher than getting exactly same position that we have now on the board. So position, one pawn standing little differently will make all difference in calculations. But you know the pattern. I have to have outside pass pawn. Oh, that's good. Now, the way to make pass pawn actually on this side, we have to move first the b pawn and then a pawn, because this way the black's one pawn cannot block my two pawns. That's another rule. Then I have to keep my pawns back, and I have to try to penetrate with king on queen side. So those are the rules you have to know and try to follow them. And now you have to add to this some calculations. Calculations is very important part of pawn endings. So you know the basic rules that in a breakthrough, when we're talking about breakthrough, calculations are very straightforward there and easy to learn. As far as the outside pass pawn goes, the same thing, same rules. Apply your rules that you know, that you believe in. You have to believe in your rules religiously, because they are basic rules, and number of exceptions you can practically undermine it's so low. So apply those rules, calculate a little bit what is the best way to get those rules work for me, and then you play them. Now, we don't have capability of going to thousands and thousands of positions like maybe thick book will do with you. I'm just trying to teach you the way of playing. I don't want to teach you how to memorize this position, memorize this and this and this and this and that position. I'm not trying to make computer out of you. I'm trying to make you knowledgeable pawn ending player or all-around ending player. In other rules, there are few other rules in pawn endings, and they are basically rules that apply almost all the endgames. There are minor piece endgames, or rook endings, or queen endings. Basically all follow some basic rules, and they are a couple of rules I'm going to mention now. Example: white has pawns on b4, c5, and black has pawn on b5. Now, let's not consider kings yet. Basically, what we have here, you have to notice one significant thing, that white has passed pawn, protected passed pawn, which in a lot of cases can be like permanent passed pawn. Permanent passed pawn in this case means that this will be passed pawn and never can be touched by king, for example. If king stays in front of it, so in order for us not to queen, king has to be here also all the time. So then we paralyzed one big piece for your opponent. Well, now let's put some other pawns. Suppose we have one pawn on a king side and black has two pawns on a king side, and this is positioned. Now this position is very bad for black because we have protected pass pawn. Now we can go to king side and try to penetrate on king side, and black has difficulties to keep us away from penetrating on king side and at the same time holding the c pawn. So white king on a e3 and white pawn on b4, c5, h3, black's king on e5 and pawns on b5, g7, h7. So the protected passed pawn has such a big value that it's very important advantage if you have this protected pass pawn in almost every end game. And I tell you more than that. Protected pass pawn has great value even in the opening, in the middle game, throughout the whole game. Well, of course, in the opening and middle game, it has to, we have a lot of other rules and the patterns that have to consider. But basically, once you have protected pass pawn, you know that this is some kind of advantage. And the value of this protected pass pawn will depend on some other pieces. So it's especially good, especially important in pawn endings. Now, the other important rule that you have to try to follow. Suppose we have equal number of pawns. We will set this position. White king on f3, white pawns on g4, h4, and on the queen side, white pawn on a4 and black pawns on a5 and b6. Now, these are 3 pawns each, but what? White is winning. The reason white is winning is because we have 1 pawn on a4 that blocks 2 of black pawns, which gives us significant advantage on the king side, and we win. How do we win this position? There are 2 different ways we can win. We can practically mate black. If black tries to stop us from stop us from queening g pawn, it's going to be forced mate. Well, let's see quickly how it can develop. King f4, king g6, g5, pawn takes, king g7. Now I got to tell you this. If we did not have queenside at all, queenside pawns, that would have been a draw. But how come we have 1 pawn, our opponent has 2, and we win? Because we go king f5, king f7, g6, king g7, king g5, king g8, and after we play king f6, king f8, g7, king g8, you see we can now stalemate black's king and force them to make b5 move, after which we take, and a4, we're going to go b6, a3, b7, a2, b8, mate. So this is one way to win, but the other way to win, you can go king e4, king e6, and use the outside pass pawn. You see, that's our outside pass pawn. Rule number 2, important rule. When we make outside pass pawn, decoy, using as decoy, and penetrate on the other side of the board and win. So this is the advantage of blocking with 1 pawn our opponent's 2 pawns and using advantage on the other side of the board. So anytime you can block 2 pawns with 1, undermining black's advantage, pawn number advantage on queen side, you can take advantage of the position on the other side of the board. So that's another rule. So now combine all these rules, and if you are well equipped, and of course it goes with more practice with it and some experience, but if you apply, it's not going to be simple to use them right away, but you have to do that. You have to use them, and the more you play, you will see that basically all pawn endings, basically more or less, they are piece of cake, and how easy to use them. The more you use them, the easier it will get. Actually, it will, if it's a little more difficult in beginning, it's normal, and you should not be confused with it. And on the other hand, it's necessity. If you don't want to deal with it, with a pawn endings, you don't deal with chess. So that's how simple it is, and that's how important it is. So learn pawn endings, the basics of it, and actually it's not that much to learn, and you can do it.
This is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for onlinechesslessons.net. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, the 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damien for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.